Sup? Welcome back to the channel. Went a bit gangster there. Today we're talking about the new 2021 Porsche Panamera Turbo S. And it's always been a bit like putting barbecue sauce on your mac and cheese. It's very easy to knock until you've tried it, and once you've tried it, you'll be converted. The Panamera has always been a fast, comfortable way to carry 4 people that handles better than any other saloony estate car on the market, but it's always had a problem. And that problem is the Audi RS6, which shares the engine with the Panamera, the 4-litre V8. But the RS6 has always had more power. It's always had about 50 horsepower more than the turbo. Now the new Turbo S, though, has reversed things, and with 630 horsepower, Porsche is finally showing Audi who the real daddy of the Volkswagen Group is. So yes, today this video is going to be about power. Yippee! Now, before we get into things, I know what you're thinking. Tim, you idiot, there used to be a more powerful Panamera, and you were right. There was the old Turbo SE hybrid, but frankly, its name was too long to stay in production, or just, it was expensive, heavy, and no one really liked it. I drove one around a racetrack once and kind of tarnished my image of the Panamera just a little bit because it was so damn heavy. So anyway, the Turbo S is the new range topper, and I'm going to use my little Porsche booklet here to explain all the different Panamera models, because my God, there are some. You have the entry-level Panamera with a V6 turbo petrol engine. I think it's a 2.9 litre out of an RS4 detuned a bit. That's got 330 horsepower. There's the Panamera 4, which is the 4-wheel drive version of that. There's the Panamera GTS, which is the one to pick if you want a V8 and the sharpest handling one in typical Porsche guise. That's £107,000 and 480 horsepower. I'm not just doing this because I haven't learnt my script. I'm doing this because, you know, facts for once. Then above the GTS is the Panamera 4S E Hybrid, which has 560 total horsepower of the electric motor and the V6 twin turbo engine. And then there's the Turbo S. So yeah, there's 5 models. The cheapest one, the rear-wheel drive V6 Panamera, that's £70,000, so a reasonable wedge. This is £136,000, but hey, this is the big daddy. This is the one that you probably want. Possibly not the one you're all going to go out and buy, but there we go. This Turbo S, top of the range one now, loads of power. You don't want to know about that, do you? How fast is it? Right, driving the new Panamera then. It's probably going to be a lot like driving the old one, but fastest. You don't get the little dinky 911 gear shift, you get this old school big one. That's fine, because you can rest your wrist on it and pretend you're going to your important business meeting in Frankfurt to discuss your salad cream logistics company profits or something. Digital dash, you can have a map up here. It's all super duper clear. You change the driving modes using Porsche's little thing on the steering wheel, like the Ferrari Manatino. Sorry, my label's sticking out, so you probably get to look at my armpit there. Apologies. But yes, the big story with the new Turbo S is that it's up 80 horsepower on the old one to 630 horsepower from 550 in the old one. And that's a big jump. And that hasn't just come from, you know, sticking the RS6's map on it. There's a kind of updated crankshaft, pistons, con rods, various bits of the valve train are all new. So there we go. The question is, how fast is it? I'm about to pull out onto a main road. I want to put it in Sport Plus, but it's busy telling me, oh, there you go. Yes, right. 60 limit. Let's not kill anyone. Remember, I'm driving on the wrong side of this car. Let's go. My neck's hurting a little bit there. Okay, that is, that's fast. It's 3.1 seconds to 60 now, the Turbo S, which is, well, do you need to go any faster? Really? It's got a top speed of 196 miles an hour, which is, you know, that's also very, very fast. Sounds good, like the Cayenne GTS that I had a few months ago. It's got a bit of a raucousness to it. It's not quite as much of a hot rod as that Cayenne GTS sounded, but, you know, there's a Porsche Panamera GTS on the way as well, which I think will sound a bit raughtier than the turbo. And what Porsche's done in that GTS, the Panamera GTS that is they've made the torque increase as you go up the rev range to give it more of a naturally aspirated feel. I guess a little bit like what Ferrari has done over the years. It's all massaged and managed through the rev range to make it feel exciting. This though, just a big slug of it and it's rapid. In terms of how it actually drives and handles, it corners incredibly well. It feels flat in the corners. You've got loads of grip. I've not had a whiff of understeer. I've had a whiff of oversteer out of some really tight corners. But this is a four-wheel drive, 630 horsepower monster. It really is the engine that dominates the experience. But you know, when you get to a series of corners, you're reminded that the Panamera has always been one of those cars that hides its weight. And when you got on a twisty road, it can feel for all the world as if you haven't got two seats and a massive boot back there. Not massive boot, reasonably sized boot. The brakes are phenomenal. They're absolutely massive carbon ceramic items. And yeah, the thing that most impresses you is the body control. With this update, Porsche's made changes to the active anti-roll stabilization. So when you turn into a corner at speed, it cancels out even more roll. The old one didn't really roll much, but they've made it react faster to keep you, you know, locked in place and stop the car feeling like a boat. The dynamic dampers have been updated to be a little bit more comfortable, and it is. If I put it in normal, all the V8 noise goes away and you're just in this little unicorn's cocoon of serenity and bubble bath. It's nice. Yeah, this is very much one of those Jekyll and Hyde cars that you could, you know, buy and your family would just think you bought a vaguely sensible saloon car if you never put it in Sport Plus mode. And then the second you've dropped the family off at the swimming pool, the ice rink, or wherever they're allowed to go in this particular week of 2020, you can drive home in Sport Plus mode and set your hair alight. It's very, very good. Okay, so I switched my GoPro for a bit because I've turned everything else off, frankly. One thing that you might have read about the new Panamera Turbo S, which might affect your opinion of it, did me, is the fact that it holds a Nürburgring lap record now of 7 minutes 29.81 seconds. Who's counting that? Which makes it the fastest executive car around the Nürburgring. And, you know, I know James May has always been on record as saying the Nürburgring ruins cars, but they have to be relatively supple to go around the Nürburgring quickly with decent suspension that can actually soak up curbs and bumps. So don't discount it because of that. I can fully understand it holding that record, having driven it today. That 820 Newton meters of torque is mighty, but so is the grip. When you turn in, you can carry very silly speeds across a twisty, bumpy country road, and it just takes it in its stride and eggs you on. I think if you ever manage to get one of these to understeer or lose grip in any way, you probably deserve to crash, because you were probably driving like a, 150% knob. I've been driving like a bit of a knob just to see what it feels like, and yeah, mighty, 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 mighty thing. I should point out that if I was in the business of giving star ratings to cars, this one would get an extra 52 stars for having brown leather interiors. A German press car, and the Germans love biscuity leather. It looks lovely. Although you do have the usual problem you get with brown leather interiors, that the headlining is always black. So you get the brown and the black next to each other. They haven't invented brown Alcantaras yet. Yeah, all those little Alcantaras running around the meadows, they're all black, they're not brown apparently. Back to you, Tim, for some styling chat or whatever boring stuff you're gonna do next. Jesus. There's not an awful lot new in terms of styling on the updated Panamera. You get different daytime running lights depending on which model you get now, and because this is the Turbo S, the range topper, you get body colored bits up here. That's the shortest bit of styling video I've ever done, which is probably music to everyone's ears, frankly. Not much has changed in terms of styling at the back either, other than this new full width light bar to mimic that on the latest 992 Gen, Porsche 911 and the Cayenne as well. The real cool thing though is the spoiler, which still does that cool pop-up extendy downy thing. I'll put a video in so it makes more sense than my nonsense words. Obviously, you can still get the Panamera as a Sport Turismo, which is the really pretty estate version, which when it was announced in 2017, made pretty much the whole motoring world emit a bigger ooh than 35-year-olds at a pony giveaway convention thing. It's pretty. Saloon's not bad. Estate, prettier. It's the one I would get. Also, more headroom in the estate, which we'll come on to in a minute. The Panamera Saloon's boot is around about 500 litres like this. It's reasonably big. It's not absolutely vast like you get in an RS6. And even if you go for the Panamera Sport Turismo, the estate version, you only get a little bit more space, like a extra small suitcase of body parts worth. So yeah, don't go thinking it's going to swallow as much as an E63, an RS6 or anything like that, because it's not. You do get brown carpet in this one though, which is fancy. If you do get the estate, you can flip the back seats down and you do get a huge space then. Obviously you then can't use the rear seats, but you know, it's practical, it's pretty practical, it's just not the most practical car like this. How's that for some practicality nonsense? Let's be honest, the whole reason you're gonna buy a Porsche Panamera is because you love driving, but you kind of got extra baggage in your life, whether that's kids or someone else's kids, or no, it's probably just kids actually. So it'd be rubbish if the back seats were tiny. Good news is they're not bad. I'm 6'3", that's where I sit driving. I've got room. I don't want to do the whole measuring thing, but one thing I would point out is that my head, when I lean fully back in the seat, does hit the roof. So get the Sport Turismo if you're going to carry adults or big people in the back. Your rear seat passengers get little touch screens. They can see your trip computer, how far you've gone. You can see the sat nav screen. So no one will be saying, "Are we nearly there yet?" Because you'll be like, "Look at the bloody screen. You're half wet." Oh yes, and they can do their heated and cooled seats back here. Little airline style pocket. And there's a cool little foldy out thing for cup holders, which I'll show you because you can't see it from there, because my gut is in the way. Fat man in Porsche does review, that's what I'll call this. The upgrades inside the new Panamera are quite subtle as well. The big news is you've got wireless Apple CarPlay. If you're an Android person, I think you're kind of just gonna have to Bluetooth to the car as normal. Slightly redesigned steering wheel, improved voice commands for the two people that use those, and you can get a Porsche design clock if you take the sports chrono option. This car doesn't have the Porsche design one, I don't think, but hey, it's there if you want it. And actually I think Porsche will sell you a matching wristwatch as well to match your sport chrono, which is just going to make for the most interesting chat at the bar ever. Oh, that's a nice watch you've got. Well, actually, yes, it matches the sport chrono in my Porsche Panamera Turbo. Oh God, you've fallen asleep. The 2021 Porsche Panamera Turbo S then really is a case of 4 doors for more applause from your family for buying an outrageously quick, outrageously agile, wonderful feeling family car. It's expensive, 135 grand for options. It's the same as an RS6 after options, and you don't get a middle rear seat, and the boot is smaller. And I would say you probably want to get the Sport Turismo version anyway, like 33% of UK buyers did in 2019, but it's a fantastic car. It gives you that feel-good Porsche sense of engineering loveliness. Everything from the pedal weights to the steering feel makes you feel special, makes an amazing noise. It's a very, very lovely, complete package, and it's just one of those cars that you want to find an excuse to do a long drive in, like drive down to your place in Italy and get COVID-19. Yeah, fantastic thing, the new Panamera. The updates are small, but overall, it's still just as brilliant as it always was. Anyway, I've been Tim. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I'll be back soon with more videos. Thanks for watching.